national and international conferences and published papers with reputed journals. I feel privileged to welcome you and extend my warm welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation for chairing today's session. May I now request our respected chairperson, ma'am, to kindly address the presenters and students before their presentations.
Thank you, Namrita, for this kind introduction. First of all, I would like to congratulate the principal, Dr. Geetika Datta, all the staff and management of BLMC for organizing this very relevant national seminar on the topic of positive psychology and education. So this has always been a very, very relevant and pertinent topic, but in today's stressful time especially, this is very relevant. Yesterday, we all had the opportunity, those of all who could join the sessions, and I was a party to listening to some of the speakers and the presenters. I would say that all the sessions were very thought-provoking, and we as teachers, educators, and individuals had a lot to take away from those sessions. I'm sure all the participants and teachers and everybody who is attending this session is excited and is looking forward to listen to the participants. So we had some very relevant topics in these two-day national seminar, like, what is happiness, how happiness is related to education, can we make learning joyful, what is mental hygiene and resilience and building gratitude and things like that. So without wasting any time, I hand over this forum to the presenters. And in the interest of time, I would request that each participant, each presenter take 10 minutes for presentation so that we have some time for question and answers. So we can invite the presenters.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words of wisdom. Now it's the time for paper presentation. It is to be noted that every participant will get around 8 to 10 minutes to present their paper. And after every paper, there will be a question and answer session, so the audience can ask any questions regarding the paper. So firstly, I would like to call Dr. Jwalin Patel from the Department of Education at Cambridge University to present his paper on conceptualizing learning to live together harmoniously in Indian contexts.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the kind introduction and the opportunity to present my work and having me here. I have a PowerPoint slide that I would like to present. So could you help give me the screen sharing options, or is it open to anyone who wants to screen share? Let's try.
So you can present, I believe. So you can present.
Okay. Please do let me know once you can see my screen. But while it loads, in the meanwhile, I can maybe start talking to you about my core interest areas. So I am deeply invested in this notion of learning to live together harmoniously. And what does that mean? Learning to live together harmoniously is a concept that comes from the Delors report of 1996. I'm just checking if you can still see my screen or not.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, thank you very much. So Delors report is a report to the UN that tried to explore what is the purpose of education. And Delors presented 4 major pillars of education, which are learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and learning to live together. So what I'm most interested in, and I'm presenting today, is this notion of learning to live together. And what does it mean? Don't we already kind of live together? So currently, learning to live together is used as a very broad umbrella-like term, which covers a host of concepts, including citizenship education, social emotional learning, emotional intelligence, transrational peace, so on and so forth. But I think the question still stands around we live in a cohesive society, and all of us are interacting with each other and in some way are living together. So that's where I go away and do a bit of research to try and look at what does LTLT, or learning to live together, mean. And then in later in today's presentation, I'll talk about how do we understand it in Indian context, and why do I reconceptualize it as learning to live together harmoniously? Because at the end of the day, it's about living together but in harmony with each other, with one's own self, both. So let me start with a quick overview of the literature or the background. There are these whole host of concepts that are related to learning to live together, and the moment you analyze a lot of these, there are key themes that come out, which are discovery of the self, discovery of others, and kind of social skills, the learning to work with each other. And being mindful of these, I decided that I will look at the local equivalence. And in India, we use many other terms, and which have existed for a much longer time than international literature. We have notions of education of the heart coming from Gandhiji, Dalai Lama. We have notions of education of the soul coming from people like Aurobindo, Gandhi once again. We have notions of flowering in inner goodness, which is spoken about by Krishnamurti. And obviously, Tagore talking about the notions of harmony and living in harmony with nature, with each other, and his notions of the universal man. So this is a quick overview. I'm mindful that we have very short time today, so I'm going to skip a lot of slides and quickly go through to reach the core crux of the presentation. But as a quick outline, it was my doctoral work. It was a study for 3 years, which focused on 3 very different questions. Today, I only focus on one of them, and I collected data from 4 schools as primary data collection sites and 18 others as secondary data collection sites. At each of these 4 schools, I spent nearly 2.5 months, and the 4 schools are on your screen. One of them is based in Gujarat, Mahatma Gandhi International School. Marambika is based in Delhi. Rishi Valley is based in Chittor, and Shantiniketan is based in West Bengal. All of these are very critical site sampling, where they make explicit claims of bringing about education for local equivalents of learning to live together. And I interviewed a lot of teachers. There were a lot of ethnographic observations. And what came out is, for teachers, the key purpose of education was education of the heart or the spirit. While career and future orientations, there were very few codes on it. Gathering knowledge or finding one's interest, once again, very little. There was a stronger notion of holistic education and education for well-being. But what came out even further stronger was this notion of education of the heart, which is seen as different from well-being or just the notion of happiness, but it's seen as something very foundational to educational processes. Before I go into describing what this is, a lot of teachers commonly suggested that it's indescribable and you can't describe it. The moment you describe it, it stops being what it is. For example, if someone asks you to describe silence, you're not being silent. So you lose the experience of silence the moment you describe silence. Similarly, there were a lot of other notions about, what family or love means. A lot of these ideas need to be practiced rather than spoken about. But at the same time, it is also important to describe some of these indescribables, because otherwise we just treat them as a broad term which can't be brought into the classroom. It is just out there. We can't do it, but it's out there. It has to be there. We talk about it, but it doesn't get implemented in practice. And that's an issue. And therefore, conceptualizations become important. I recognize that no conceptualization can ever be perfect, and the aim for the research work was to try and progress towards that kind of precision or perfection. But more than that, it was to try and outline what are the key ideas we should explore when we think about learning to live together. So the next part of the presentation, I think I have another 4 minutes left or so, maybe 2-3 minutes, is the framework. And the framework is a composition of 3 domains and 6 dimensions. The domains are can be either seen as the inner and outer, but a more nuanced discussion is where the inner refers to the self or the soul, and then we can talk about the other. So discovery of the self, followed by discovery of the other, and followed by discovery of the community, the larger environment, the larger society. And when we talk about these discoveries, I think there are 6 dimensions that we should be mindful of. One of them is awareness. The second one is around right relations, having right relations with yourselves, others. Um, the notion of, yes, let's do something, a will to act. So there is a difference between empathy and compassion, where empathy comes from right relation, but you might do nothing about it, and you might not be willing to do anything about it, and then you never reach compassion. And then this notion of having a bigger picture in mind, change in perspectives, where you look at the bigger picture about interconnectedness, interdependence, followed by bringing compassionate action, and that finally leading to meaningful engagement or wisdom. Meaningful engagement or wisdom may not be possible in 12 years of school, but I foresee that the first 5 dimensions allows for a foundation for meaningful engagement in the future. Having said that, here is what teachers spoke about, how they were describing all of these ideas. There were strong notions of meaningful engagement and strong spiritual ideas that come into it, and a lot of emphasis on other 2 dimensions, which were right relations and changes in perspective. However, now if I go forward and I look at this slide, these slides will be available online, and you can refer to this in the future. They will come up on an OSF, Open Science Foundation's website. So you can have a look at this framework, and they will also be published in a paper in the coming few months. But this is the framework that I've been describing, where there are 3 domains and 6 dimensions. I'm not sure if you're viewing this on a phone or a laptop, but if I'll come back to this slide, I'll leave it in as a final slide, and you can refer to this or read more about each of the cells or what comes within each of the domains and dimensions later on. One last point that I want to make is that it's a very interconnected framework where, yes, there are a bunch of ideas and topics. I don't want you to read anything as of now, but I will highlight some things. Teachers spoke about the notion of seva as an integral part of education, and that kind of seva was linked with notions of team working and communication. It helps students understand interdependence in the world. Furthermore, it also helps build empathy. It helps understand or build awareness of the societal conditions. It is also linked with this notion of, yes, I'm very similar to you. At the end of the day, we are linked, and there is a lot more in common than that is different. And this kind of goes back to bringing this wider perspective of self-centrism to other-centricism. And finally, it feeds back into this notion of that drives seva, or trying to work towards others' upliftment. So a key takeaway, if you take away something, is that there are 3 domains, 6 dimensions. It's an interconnected framework, and the point of the framework is to get readers or practitioners thinking about the nuances of learning to live together. The next steps of the study include, there are a couple of papers coming out in due course of time. There is going to be a follow-up study looking at school-wide systems. But I request any ideas or recommendations that you might have in terms of ways to share these findings with teachers, school leaders, and parents within our context. Having said that, thank you very much. I'm going to leave this as the last slide. I can open up for any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very informative paper. I would like to ask the audience if they have any questions regarding the paper. They can raise their hand and ask, sir. Do we have anyone in the audience? I think we should then move further.
I'm going to end my slide share.
Thank you so much, sir. Achal, I would like to request to invite the next presenter.
Okay, just start. Our next paper presenter is Vishnupriya Behera from Ramadevi Women's University, and the title of her paper is Importance of Happiness Curriculum in the 21st Century.
Thank you, ma'am. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Thank you. A very good morning to the respected chairperson, co-chairperson, senior members, and all participants. This is Vishnupriya Behera, MA second year student of Ramadevi Women's University, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Before I am going to present my paper, I would like to say about happiness. Being happy is necessary, but being sad is also necessary in our life, because if we don't face any obstacles or any bad situation, then how will we learn to live life? We all know that life is an adventure journey, and every emotion of our life is every emotion is most important in our life. But we don't know how to lead a happy life, or how to face this type of obstacles or this type of bad situation in our life. So we should need a guide, or need a environment who teach us how to live a happy life, or how to handle this type of bad phases in our life. So I hope happiness curriculum will teach us how to lead a happy life, or how to face this type of bad situation in our life. So why happiness curriculum? Now I'm going to present my paper on importance of happiness curriculum in 21st century. In 21st century, everyone are searching happiness in their life. Whole world is full of negativity, sadness, stress, depression, etc. If you see the happiness index, uh, India is going down from 2012 to 2019. According to the World Happiness Report, India ranked 139 in 2020. Nowadays, students are facing many problems like peer pressure, stress, depression, and even commit suicide because of various reasons, out of which getting more marks and grades in the examination in the main cause. Is the main cause. There is a need to make changes in the Indian education system in such a way that includes those activities and teachings ways that make a students feel more interesting, or increasing their involvement and participation. What is the meaning of happiness? The term happiness is used in the context of mental or emotional states, including positive and pleasant emotions, ranging from contentment to intense joy. In other way, happiness is the sense of well-being, joy when people get successful or safe. He feel happy, the happiness. So we can call it is the opposite of sadness. According to the Mahatma Gandhi, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Now A curriculum term is refers to the lesson of content taught in school or in the educational program. A curriculum is the instructional and educative program by following which the pupils achieve their goals, ideals, and aspirations of life. In simply, we can say happiness is whatever students are doing in their school or in the educational program, such as doing homework or playing game, gardening, etc. Curriculum is dynamic and changes according to the needs of peoples and society. We all are know about the happiness curriculum. Happiness curriculum is an educational program of children in grades 1 to 8 in school, run by the government of Delhi since July 2018. The happiness curriculum objective is to improve the mental well-being of pupils and it teaches mindfulness, social emotional learning, critical thinking, relationship building, etc. In 2nd July 2018, Delhi government has introduced a new curriculum which name is happiness curriculum. The aim of this curriculum is to improve the mental well-being of students, and it teaches mindfulness, social and emotional learning, critical thinking, problem solving, etc. And the purpose of this curriculum is to explore a small idea of happiness. In happiness curriculum has no textbook. Instead, it is activity based and no formal evaluation are conducted. Only periodic assignments of the children's progress will be made using a happiness index. The syllabus has divided into three types: exploring a happiness through the learning and awareness, experiencing happiness in relationship through the feelings, happiness through active satisfaction. Happiness curriculum teachers are following the syllabus by doing different types of activities, mindful activities, stories, and activities with reflective questions and self-expression. This syllabus outcome is to enhance students' level of awareness and mindfulness. And it leads a deep learning to how to lead a happy life or how to lead a stressful life. Then why is happiness curriculum important in 21st century? In 21st century, students are suffering from mental illness, stress, depression, anxiety, etc. To prevent things from soaring, it is highly beneficial to have focused sessions of happiness in the curriculum, where the individual can only discuss what troubles them. The professional will be able to guide a individual how to what bring them joy, or what how they will face difficult situation, etc. There are some major problems that define why is happiness curriculum important in 21st century. Student society, one of the major problem. If we see the today's situation, there are above 20 students attempt suicide in every 24 hours in India, according to the news report. Why students do suicide? There are many causes. One of failure in exam. Some students are not accept their failure. They do suicide. Lack of support from family and friends. There are many parents are not supporting their children, and they force them to do what they want. It is the one cause of student suicide. Adjusting to a new environment. If the students are not adjust with every environment, sometimes some students are feel inferiority or feel loneliness or feel to contact with the other people. It is the one cause of student suicide. If you see the NCRB report, in India, suicide among youth has been increasing in India in day by day. Mental illness of the students. Mental illness, there are many cause of mental illness, like stress events, like losing a loved one. So suddenly, if we lose was loved one, then that time we depress and anxiety, increase our anxiety. This is the one major cause of mental illness or negativity thoughts. Sometimes we feel negative thoughts, like down ourselves, down yourself, and compare with others. Etc. or negative thoughts. It's the main cause of mental illness. And addicted with for smartphone, it is the main cause of mental illness in today's days. Addicted with a smartphone. If we adult one addicted with smartphones, and they get depression and stress, anxiety, etc. And once eighth class student of Odisha has attended suicide because of her parents restrict his to for smartphones. The abusing drugs and alcohol is the one cause of mental illness. And crime by students, it is the present scenario. Students experience various crimes in their lives. There are numerous factors which may be influence a student to commit such crimes, like the could be it could be out of pure pressure, or family pressure, or contact with on friends, or like this. The parents, teachers, society, and media all have an important role in molding children into adult, and it is necessary that proper care and attention are given to the children while they grow. And
Excuse me,
lastly,
ma'am.
my conclusion is happiness curriculum is very helpful for our upcoming generation. It will be help. Will make them good human being, as well as it's given a stressless life, and it will also will help to reduce student suicide, mental illness, student crime by students, etc. If happiness curriculum will add in NEP 2020, then it will be helpful for our future generation. Lastly, I would like to say my point of view. One point of mine. If we satisfied with what I have, then we will definitely be happy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a great insight. If any students want to ask questions, they can ask to ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it's me, Divya.
Yeah, Divya.
Ma'am, I want to ask a question. The person who presented before her.
Yes, please.
Okay, मैम माय क्वेश्चन इज कि उन्होंने 4 स्कूल्स के सर्वे लाइक रिसर्च करी थी ऑन 4 स्कूल्स. सो आई जस्ट वांट टू नो कि उनको किस स्कूल का सबसे इफेक्टिव लगा, लाइक किस स्कूल ने ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूट करा है, कौन सा स्कूल ज्यादा एफिशिएंट है इन टर्म ऑफ टीचर्स और चिल्ड्रन, एंड व्हाई.
So that's a difficult question क्योंकि okay, I'll shift to हिंदी क्योंकि जो रिसर्च का पर्पस था वो कभी भी कंपेयर करने का नहीं था. वो था कि अलग अलग स्कूल्स होंगी, उनके अलग अलग मॉडल्स होंगे और उनके अलग अलग स्ट्रेंथ्स या वीकनेसेस रहेंगे. तो इट वाज मोर टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वो लोग क्या करते हैं, रैदर देन टू से कि मैं एक्सपर्ट हूँ, मैं जाके जज करूँगा who is the best and who doesn't do it that well. वो मेंटालिटी या वो एपिस्टेमोलॉजी जो बोलते हैं वो that was not the lens. वो वैसे I was never studying it like that क्योंकि But having said that, I can maybe मैं हर एक स्कूल का की एस्पेक्ट हाईलाइट कर सकता हूँ, and maybe that might inspire you, it might allow you to go and read more about the schools. जो जैसे कि एग्जांपल है महात्मा गांधी इंटरनेशनल स्कूल, MGIS में बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रीडम था स्टूडेंट्स के लिए. वहाँ पे वो स्टूडेंट्स खुद ब खुद उनका करिकुलम डिसाइड करते थे, and then teachers will weave their own content around that curriculum. If the child says कि मुझे ये इस दिन अब मुझे स्पेस के बारे में पढ़ना है grade 5 में, the teacher will go back and work and develop the curriculum, find textbooks, find reading materials. The whole class will decide the topic. There was no preset curriculum जैसा. Teachers के mind में होगा कि हमें ये concepts clear करने हैं. For the math, it might be in this age group we want to do LCM, HCF, whatever. But the topic was decided by the students. Mirambika, next school, for example, Mirambika, what stood out to me, Mirambika has its own ups and downs. Unko beech mein there are a lot of issues also going on. But for me, Mirambika was absolutely wonderful. Where जहाँ पे वो teachers were also involved in this journey of trying to explore what does life mean, what does education mean. They again had the same level of freedom which MGIS, the first school, had, but वहाँ पे teachers का constant reflection reading चलता था, saying how can I bring this notion of education for harmony or education of the soul into the classroom, या मैं वो खुद कैसे practice करूँ. Forget teaching children, I first need to learn. So it was a space where even it's in an ashram, so all teachers were ashramasis. Teachers were working voluntarily, so there was no notion of education as a business kind of idea, because teachers are not drawing salaries. There's no salary for any teacher there. Teachers are there to learn for themselves. So that's Mirambika. Quickly going on to Rishi Valley. Rishi Valley School, it's set up by Krishnamurti, one of his original schools. वहाँ पे the level of nature का integration was amazing. I remember students saying things like, "ये mountain देखो, how beautiful is the mountain?" Or "Look at this tree, I think it has become stronger or weaker." And when I was there, I was like, "This is a mountain. What do you mean by it's a beautiful mountain?" Yes, I can talk about as in when I'm writing or we are doing poetry, but for them this was genuine day-to-day conversation. Look at how the light is hitting the mountain, things like that, saying, which was a different level of sensitivity towards the environment around them and the nature around them. And I thought the nature was a very strong teacher over there. Next thing that stood out to me in Shantiniketan is that they bring all of these ideas. They try and do all of this, but it is for it is one of the few schools that does this at very low fees or no fees. It's a government-run institution, and they try and incorporate all of these ideas to make it inclusive and to bring these ideas of holistic education to children. Again, amazing. They're known for their art, craft, music, dance, singing. All of that's there. Shantiniketan has always been known for open-air classrooms. But I think there was also something within the teacher-student relations. It was a very natural-like environment where there was very natural relations. There weren't too many boundaries. Everyone seemed, yes, there were a couple of limitations when you have large classroom sizes. They had 40 to 60 kids at times, but it was managed still very well. But yes, those are the highlights of each of the schools. I didn't necessarily answer your question about which school was the best, but I think this might be equally helpful.
Thank you. And the last question is कि आपने school select करे 4 schools of different states. So my question is कि आपने वही schools क्यों select करे, and क्या उनका purpose सिर्फ nature का था कि like natural setup ज़्यादा provide किया जा रहा था उन्हें, या फिर आपने कुछ और भी purpose था कि आपने वही schools क्यों select करे?
Sampling का purpose was based on alternative schools that pursue these education of the heart, education of the soul explicitly. वो लिख के बोले कि हम ये कर रहे हैं, and they have been doing it for years. That was the purpose. Because, well, in across all of India, we have had a lot of frameworks for values, pedagogy for values, a lot of these coming from NCRT being written up. But there's also explicit statements about, yes, we try, all our schools are inclusive, we try to bring about character education, moral values education. It's been there since Sri Prakash Committee 1959, Chavan Committee 1998. So all of these ideas are there, yes, but my study wanted to look at where does where is it explicitly claimed and where there is confidence of it being practiced, and I wanted to specifically look at those. So I started with these philosophers or thinkers or educationists that spoke about these. I ignored a few because of constraints, but I could have easily included Dalai Lama. I could have His Holiness Dalai Lama. I could have included schools that were set up by more local or less well-known educationists like Bijubai Padeka, so on and so forth. But my sampling criteria was very much, let's look at quote unquote school alternative schools set up that target holistic education set up by these philosophers. Either they directly set it up, for example, Krishnamurti directly and Tagore both set up Rishivali and Shantiniketan respectively, or they were inspired and one of their colleagues set it up and they were supervising kya ho raha hai, which is the case of Mirambeka, where the mothers, under mother's guidance, the school was set up. There's strong links with the Pondicherry schools. Or Mahatma Gandhi International, where it is inspired by Gandhian thought. I also had a fifth school, which was a pilot school, which was called Shreyas Foundation. It was founded by Madam Montessori. It's based in Gujarat, and that was the fifth. It was a pilot school, so I spent only 1 month, and I don't talk about it as equally as other schools because I didn't spend enough time. But again, that was a school set up by Montessori, strongly inspired by Tagore and Gandhiji, because the founders were directly were in regular contact with Gandhiji and had some or other indirect links with Shantiniketan as well. So it was very critical site sampling, very purposive sampling to look for these schools. I think the next study could probably look at less exclusive or less alternative schools and more mainstream schools. And I know we have just had a wonderful presentation on the happiness curriculum. So one of my next projects is going to be to study schools with public schools that are implementing the happiness curriculum, and how do the teachers understand happiness, what kind of practices they use. Okay, you can't have it as one period. It has to be all through the day. But anyways, I'm going to stop there. Sorry, I answered your question and then went off on a tangent.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
and Vishnu Priya. So, as Jwalin has pointed out, that happiness curriculum, while it is there now, a part of the mainstream schools of Delhi, I think we have to go a long way to be able to see how it is implemented in the schools, and it's a study worthwhile doing, that what teachers, students, and the authorities make out of this curriculum, how it is implemented, how it is received by the students and the parents. And as Jolene has said, that there are alternative schools that he's taken in his study. So they have a different kind of setup, which is kind of very conducive for certain kind of positive behaviors for students and teachers. But such things are to be seen, and in other mainstream schools. And let's hope that together as teachers and educators, we are able to see the positive implications of this in all schools. So with this, I think we can proceed with the next presenter.
May I request everyone to turn on their cameras for a minute? Thanks a lot, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, sir. Moving on to our next presenter, we have Dr. Kotra Balayogi from Unity College of Education in Nagaland to present the paper on positive education and practice towards the students' joyful learning and well-being in schools.
I think Cheshta, they are not here. You can move to the next presentation, next paper presenter.
Okay, ma'am.
Now I would like to call Sapna Rani, Institute of Vocational Studies, Delhi, to present her paper on happiness curriculum.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Screen is showing already. Thank you, Chester and Anchal ma'am. A very good morning to all. I'm Sapna. I just share my screen first. Is my screen visible to all? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes. Thank you. Myself, Sapna. Okay.
I think there is some network issue at her end. She'll be joining shortly.
We can go on to next, and then if she joins, she can again come back.
Oh, okay, ma'am. I would now like to request Dr. Anju Tandon and Avneet Kaur Babu from Mehta Vidyalaya, New Delhi to present their paper on positive education and happiness curriculum in schools in the COVID-19 pandemic. Welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Namrata. My heartiest thanks to BLMC. Special mention to Dr. Geetika for giving us this opportunity, for enabling this conference and making us participate and express our point of view on positive psychology and the happiness curriculum in schools. So, my thanks to the entire BLMC family, and my greetings to the chairperson Mamta Singhal and all the other participants present today. So this paper is a joint effort of myself and my co-author, Ms. Avneet Kaur Babbar, who's a PGT biology in the school. So may I request Avneet to kindly share the screen, please?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second. Is the screen visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it is. So our paper is on positive education and happiness curriculum in school, in the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's a theoretical paper, and we seek your suggestions and help to further improve upon the paper. Next. This is the abstract. Go on to next. So the pandemic of COVID-19 has affected not only the physical well-being of people, but has also affected the mental and the psychological well-being of people around the world, including the students. Next. So the multiple surveys have been done so far, and analytical studies in different parts of the world to point towards the unfortunate finding that quite a high number of students developing mental health problems due to lockdown, restricted environment in the pandemic. I think for the past almost 1.5 years, the primary fulfilling factor, that is interaction with the classmates, enjoying in school, has left a huge impact on the mental health issues. According to a survey by the Indian Psychiatry Society, there was 20% rise in the number of cases of mental illness at the end of March 2020, and since then things have become even worse. So, however, this extensive research and psychometric analysis are still required to be done in this aspect, especially examining the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the psychological well-being and the mental health of students. Thus, an additional effort and multidisciplinary studies are needed to address these issues. This paper aims to present the role of positive education in helping the students cope with the changes during the ongoing pandemic, and role of happiness curriculum and its implementation in the online mode, and how it is instrumental in providing the students a stress-free environment. So I would be taking the first part of the role of positive education, helping students cope with changes during the ongoing pandemic, and I would request my partner, Ms. Avneet Babbar, to take on the part B session. So next. So positive education. Education is an approach to education that blends academic learning with character of well-being and prepares the students with life skills such as grit, optimism, resilience, growth mindset, engagement, mindfulness, amongst others. So it is based on science of well-being and happiness. Next. So resilience and adaptability, by giving the students this opportunity to practice what it means to be resilient and adaptable. We are not only teaching them how to cope with the present adversities, but also providing them with the important life skill that will serve them into the adulthood. Some of these may include appreciating them on following COVID appropriate behavior, by complimenting them, by saying, I know you wear mask, isn't always fun, it's difficult, it is uncomfortable, but you are doing your bit for the community, for keeping yourself and others around you healthy, well done, keep it up, and things like that. It conveys the positive notion. Next. So resilience and adaptability can be enhanced by brainstorming positive things that they've learned during the closure of the school, such as spending more time with parents, family, practicing hobby or learning new skills, housekeeping, maintenance, grocery listing, gardening. Never before we had so much time to spend with the family as we did in the past 1.5 years. So discussing about importance of several life skills on how there should not be a gender divide, pooling the ideas with students on how can we acclimatize the pre-COVID traditions and activities in the ongoing pandemic. When we invite students to be part of the discussion, even the youngest children often surprise us with their insight. So engaging them, acknowledging their thought process and inculcating the ideas will help to develop a positive outlook during these desperate times. The community plays a very, very important role and a significant role in this, and students need to be reminded that they are an integral member of the learning community, and helping our children feel the same connectedness and giving them a sense of belonging is even more vital to their mental health than before COVID-19. As adults, we need to encourage the children by reiterating the facts that we are all together, not only as a school community, but also as a part of the larger community as a whole. So continuing whatever possible remote extracurricular activities, encouraging and mentoring programs, pairing older ones with the younger ones, checking up on each other, sharing ideas and experiences will definitely enhance the positivity in them. So helping them to cope with the loss and grief. Grief counseling often brings to mind the loss of loved ones or death experiences, but grief and loss are also much more from this. With the sudden closure of the school as a precautionary measure, students were robbed of their field trips, their personal interaction with the friends, their socializing, telling teachers, interacting with them, farewells, annual days, prize distribution, sports activities, ceremonies, and so many other activities. So suspension of these different physical school activities, compromised with the health, losing their loved ones, lack of personal interaction with teachers and friends are difficult experiences for the young minds that deserve acknowledgement and time. Students from economically weaker section of society are dependent on the school for providing an environment of safety and security. Their grief and sense of insecurity may stem from loss of access to reliable resources like food, electricity, water, care, compassion, losing jobs, etc. Even if the school reopens staggered manner, normalcy will take time. Students still will have to maintain social distancing and follow a protocol. Therefore, it is imperative that we are not only vocal about these situations, talk about the losses they have experienced, help them to move ahead in life and accept and adapt to the current scenario and a positive mindset. So we have to remember that our students have always have and will look up to us for guidance, and now every walk of life we have to take a balanced approach in our reaction and behavior pattern, and unnecessary panicking and adopting unnecessary measures to minimize and mitigate the effect of pandemic, both physical and psychological. So in the next part, I would request Ms. Avneet to take on part B, where the role of happiness curriculum, its implementation in the online mode, and how it's instrumental in providing the students with a stress-free manner, with a brief comment on how Bharti Vidya Bhavan introduced the happiness curriculum. Yeah, please, Avneet.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next part of the presentation deals with the role of happiness curriculum, its implementation in the online mode, and how it's instrumental in providing a stress-free environment to the students. Before we begin, what is happiness? If I say that happiness is a state of synergy without any conflict or a state of being in acceptance, it is an emotion where we are having all the activities which are giving us pleasure, but in spite of having every of these pleasurable activities, there is still a sense of insecurity, a sense of not feeling happy. We are having a poor mental health. Our happiness quotient is not good. If we look at the 2021 UN Happiness Report, India stands at 139th position out of 149 countries in total. These data, they are very alarming and disturbing that 1 in 7 Indians, they are suffering from some or the other kind of mental illness. 9.8 million teenagers are suffering from depression. Our Indian students are under a stress to excel. Excelling is not a problem, but they are unable to balance their academics, their professional goals with a peaceful positive psychology. This is where we are lacking. And during the ongoing pandemic of COVID-19, the importance of mental health has become more important than ever. It is important that we Indians now explore dimension of positive psychology and invent ways that it can be applied to bring about a positive change in the lives of people. Extensive research has been done and it has proven that happiness can be learned through certain methods of positive psychology and following certain curriculums and programs wherein people can be taught to discover their inner self and build strength to deal with their emotion and boost their optimism in life. During these programs, the participants, they are given essential tools and some practical techniques to deal with the pressures of life, maintain a balanced approach in their emotions, build strong relationship and be calmer. These programs, they can help basically to identify the root cause of stress. What is causing the stress, the imbalanced psychology, the feeling of insecurity in our life, and why are we facing it in such increasing demands from day-to-day life. These programs, they help in creating lasting happiness through designed practical self-improvement and thinking techniques. Our brain is a muscle, like any other muscle, we can train it to cater to certain emotions, react in such way, and have a balanced approach in our handlings of day-to-day life. These programs, they help to deal with the internal self and understand the purpose that one has in the life. In lines with these, several Indian universities and colleges are now also offering happiness courses, like Ramanujan College in Delhi University has already started its first batch of happiness classes. Gujarat University recently launched a certificate course in happiness counseling, and IIT Delhi, Lucknow University, Ambedkar University, they are also launching their own courses of happiness to help the young ones have a balanced approach in their emotions through positive psychology. In lines with these, the Delhi government has already launched a happiness curriculum program, which focuses on giving holistic education by making meditation, value education, mental exercises an important part of their already existing educational setup. This happiness curriculum was launched for classes nursery to 8th on July 18, 2018. Bhavans has already adapted to this change pattern in the curriculum introduced by the government of Delhi from last 2.5 years, and specifically from last 1.5 years since the pandemic, we all went online. Dedicated timetable slots were being given so that students, the young minds, they are given an insight to balance their emotion in the sudden pandemic. The objectives of this happiness curriculum is basically self-awareness and mindfulness, making the students aware about themselves, how can they think critically, and lastly, how are they able to communicate their emotions, their thought process effectively. Communication is very much important. If we learn how to communicate our thought processes, what are we feeling in the right way, I feel maximum of the problem will be taken care of. These programs, they will help learners to prepare to apply these important life skills in the stressful and competitive environment which they do experience from time to time on a regular basis. Competition cannot be minimized, but yes, having a balanced approach towards it, having a perceptive mind that yes, giving your best shot is important, and if we give our best will be enough, and we might excel in the way. Rather than aiming for position first, second, third, I think our goal should be teaching our students to excel. Even if they are excelling at a small activity on day-to-day basis, this will boost their confidence and will give them edge over overcoming stress and competition, which right now may be more complex for them. They will be able to handle them with a perceptive mind and a balanced approach. Basically, any happiness curriculum or program which is being introduced or will be introduced, it has the aim to develop future citizens of the country which are mindful, which are aware, which are awakened, they are empathetic and firmly rooted. Even if they are having an emotional bent of mind, their emotional quotient is balanced with their intelligent quotient. They are having a balanced outlook in life, as it is envisaged by the National Education Policy of 2020. So, in the lines of the happiness curriculum, Bhavans introduced the same program 2.5 years ago, and these are the few glimpses of the happiness curriculum which is being followed in a regular schedule pattern in classes nursery to 8th. Here they are the students, they are taught, there is discussion on personal hygiene, maintaining emotional balance during the pandemic, because as it is, the pandemic is hard on everyone. The young ones who were used to have physical activities, going out to play, having their sports period, their activities, extracurricular activities, all of that, this was suddenly stopped. How do they should handle this physical separation from their friends and family? What is the uncertainty in the future? Because till now we don't know when the normalcy will begin and when the situation will actually be before the pandemic like it was. So students, they are being encouraged to express their feeling, to acknowledge the pandemic, the stress in this, and also how they can effectively communicate it. They are encouraged to express themselves through songs, through bhajans, through story narrations or poems. This not only helps them to showcase their talent, but also they are able to express themselves in certain ways which earlier might not be possible. Students, they might hesitate to talk openly in class, then through their narratives, through their storytelling, it becomes slightly more easier for them to open up. Students can discuss their own experiences or event with the theme of the stories that are taken up in the happiness curriculum. These are some snapshots. Along with these, some breathing and mindful activities, because maintaining health is very much important now. It helps them. Some breathing exercises or yoga exercises will not only give them a fresh mind, but also keep their health intact. And stories from our mythological scriptures like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, the moral of good winning over evil will help them have a control of the situation and give them confidence that yes, one day, soon enough, the times will resolve again back to normal. Apart from this, discussions regarding the preventive measures for COVID-19, following a COVID-19 appropriate behavior, are also being taken from time to time with the students. So these are the snapshots from the recent happiness curriculum classes, and that's what it is. And conclusion.
So, given the time slot, I would conclude by saying that the year 2019 brought along with its own share of unforeseen challenges and adaptations that were never heard before. It made a very significant impact on the mental health, education, daily routine of including the students, which we have witnessed in the day-to-day teaching for the past 1.5 years. The COVID-related interruptions underline the key challenges and provide an opportunity to further evaluate alternate measures in education sector, and to overcome the present challenges, it requires a long sustained effort on part of the teachers and administrators to adopt changes in order to sustain the current scenario. Formulating learner-centric goals, which should be the primary aim of all the educators, and adopting alike policy and strategies will allow the teachers to take into consideration differentiated needs of all the learners, both their academic and psychological well-being. So the new policies and guidelines in this direction would definitely help to mitigate some of these negative effects and prepare the educators and students for future. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a knowledgeable and informative paper. I would like to ask the audience if there are any questions. Do we have anyone? They can raise their hand. Okay, then shall move on to the next presenter. We have Sapna ma'am. She has joined us. So I would like to invite her. She's from Institute of Vocational Studies and her paper is about happiness curriculum. Welcome, ma'am.
हेलो हेलो
गुड मॉर्निंग
हाँ जी, गुड आफ्टरनून मैम। मैम मैं कंफर्म करना चाहती हूँ, मैंने प्रेजेंटेशन स्टार्ट की थी तो नेटवर्क इशू के कारण डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था। क्या वो कंप्लीट हो गया था?
मैम यू आर रिक्वेस्टेड टू प्रेजेंट योर पेपर राइट नाउ। आप अब प्रेजेंटेशन कर दीजिए, आपका नेटवर्क इशू हो गया था ना।
ओके 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 ओके,
प्लीज स्टार्ट शेयरिंग द स्क्रीन एंड प्रेजेंट योर पेपर। थैंक यू सो मच, ऑल द बेस्ट।
hello. Please just confirm I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, thank you. Myself, Sapna, lecturer in Institute of Vocational Study. Today I am here to present a paper and my topic is happiness curriculum. I begin to my presentation with a brief introduction about the topic. This is an effort to understand the happiness curriculum that focuses on analysis the requirement of happiness curriculum in education. Happiness curriculum should be constituted to develop self-awareness and mindfulness and acute thinking and analysis skill among learners. It should be included how the learners can communicate effectively and express themselves freely and creatively and understand the expectation of relationship with family, peer groups, and teachers. Happiness curriculum should be facilitated to learners' life skill to deal with stress and contrary situations in life and should be socially aware about human values and holistic approach in universal environment. Some definitions about education and meaning of happiness. According to Mahatma Gandhi, by education, I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in child and man in body, mind, and spirit. Education is the key to unlock the golden doors of the.
Ma'am, sorry to disturb you in between. Ma'am, can you just make it the landscape mode with your presentation? The slide is not visible.
एक मिनट मैम, just a minute. मैम ये तो वर्टिकली ही हो रहा है, शो हो रहा है। मैं पहले लैपटॉप से ज्वाइन किया था बट वो डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया। आई डोंट नो कि मैंने कितनी।
Okay, then ma'am you can continue.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next definition is of happiness. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday, we rob them of tomorrow. It means we can say that the primary purpose of education has to be create happy, confident, and fulfilled human beings who will play a meaningful role in the society. This is the main moral purpose of education. I mean, this is the most important way to keep the democratic ideas alive in citizens. What does happiness mean? What does happiness mean? Happiness often define a happy person as someone who experiences frequently positive emotions such as joy, interest, and pride, and infrequent negative emotions such as sadness and anxiety and anger. Purpose of education is not merely for the students to get high marks. Education system need to create a hyper confident and self-aware citizens. It is these self-aware citizens who will create a better society. Whatever we do is for the sake of happiness. Happiness is the greatest human expression. It can be said that the ultimate aim of the human being is to achieve happiness in their lives. Across the world, education administrators are realizing the need for a happiness or well-being lesson the children. Self-awareness, sensitive and emotionally mature children are far more successful owing to their advanced ability to engage in meaningful relationships. At last, we can say that happiness or overall means happiness means life satisfaction and subjective well-being. The triad for happiness. Here is 3 points. First is learning and awareness, harmony in feelings, and through the senses. Next point is that what is happiness class? It's very important. This is the special program implemented by the government of Delhi in government schools, under which children from nursery to 8 are given happiness in the first period, that is 40 minutes daily. Under the happiness curriculum, children are given meditation, informative, and moral-related stories are told. They are fed games or given other informative informations. The aim of happiness class is to make the children emotionally strong. This class start with 5 minutes of meditation. Meditation बहुत सी exercise आ सकती हैं. Experts believe that the type of class increase the tendency of children towards school as well as we can save them for negative emotions like anger हो गया, jealousy हो गया, या फिर hearted हो गया. Ideas of happiness that should be implemented in the curriculum is main importance. Happiness is within, positively. Happiness is in relationship, counting the blessings, pursuit, and happiness is in being virtuous. And one happiness is in the happiness of all, helping others. And last is that no ego. Main objective of the happiness curriculum, we can say that first self-awareness, acute thinking and analysis means teach skill of acute thinking analysis in the learners. Communicate effectively and express themselves. Healthy relationships with family, peer group, and teachers. Stressful and contradictory situations, social awareness, human values. And last is that holistic approach of the education means improve holistic approach to education in a universal environment. Why is the curriculum happiness so important? Means main emphasis on play, no harmonious testing, trust, non-competitive school structure. Next is just testing professions, time management. These are very important in happiness curriculum. Less is more. Next, scope of happiness curriculum. Scope is also very important in happiness curriculum. First, we can see that self-awareness. Happiness curriculum is aimed to inspire good mental health, character, and spirit. Happiness curriculum would improve mental ability of the students, reduce anxiety, depressions, and intolerance among the students. Happiness curriculum also prepare the students to face challenges and find solution to the social problems. At last, अगर हम conclude करें तो happy teacher, happy classroom, and a happy student is a very important aspect in curriculum. With increasing pressure on the students from both parents and the teachers to score more marks, this intended to the government of expected to help the students to cope up with the stress and the learn for life, just for not for just a rank. This is the secret of Mahatma Gandhi's like say that literacy education is of no value if it is not able to build up a sound character. At last, happiness class will definitely help to reduce it. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very informative paper. So, do we have any questions from the audience?
Sapna ma'am, can you please turn on your camera?
Hello, हाँ जी मैम.
Ma'am, can you please turn on your camera?
मैम या तो चैट बॉक्स में लिख दीजिए प्लीज, मुझे आवाज नहीं आ रही क्लियर से. हेलो
Ma'am, am I audible?
हाँ जी आपकी आ रही है मैम. स्टूडेंट्स को एक बार प्लीज, ऑडियंस को प्लीज एक बार कह दीजिए या चैट बॉक्स में टाइप करके दे दें. हेलो.
Okay. Hello, ma'am. We request you to turn on your camera.
हेलो हेलो.
Ma'am, am I audible to you? Excuse me, ma'am. I think she has been disconnected. So, shall we move on or wait?
हेलो.
Hello, ma'am.
आर्टिस्टा. हाँ जी.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I will request you to turn on your camera.
Turn on. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And if there are any questions from the audience, they can raise their hand or type them in the chat box. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
We can move on to the next presenter, Rachel.
Okay. So I would like to request Subhashri Mohanty from Ramadevi Women's University to present her paper on happiness curriculum in schools in the COVID-19 pandemic.
So, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Namrata, ma'am, please can you share my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Navdeep? Yes. He's sharing, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. Very good afternoon, respected chairperson and co-chairperson and the all organizer team. Very good afternoon, one and present over here. I, Subhashri Mohanty from the Women's University, Bhubaneswar. Today I am going to present a paper on importance of happiness curriculum. The next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Education is important to nurture strength and for growth and development. Education is the only one key through which a child can develop their self, and it is possible to develop all aspects of the child. According to Mahatma Gandhi, by education I mean an all-round drawing out of the best part in child and man, body, mind, and spirit. That reports that our education system not only gives or focuses on to score better marks in result, rather than to give emphasis the best quality which have within the child to develop that quality and provide training to develop that particular quality of the child. Then our education system should give emphasis towards like to create a happiness, satisfied and confident students, so that they can play a meaningful role in their future. Now our education administrator also started to feel or realize the need of well-being and well-being and happiness activities for the students. Then comes to know what is happiness. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Happiness simply it is refers to, it is a emotional statement that characterized by joyfulness, fulfilled and satisfied. And happiness is linked to experiencing positive feelings rather negative. It is a feeling of pleasure and positivity. You may say that when a person feels confident, proud, excitement and relieved from any problems or satisfied, that person is happy. And the happiness enables to make the person or individual stressless and smile. Many research suggests that happiness is the combination of what is going on or how you are satisfied with your life and how good you feel on your day-to-day life. Then comes to know what is curriculum. Next slide, please. Hello. Okay, thank you. Your curriculum simple is our course of study. The curriculum is an interaction strategy of instruction and the certain learning goals, content, measurement, strategies, and resources. Measurement and resources. The curriculum is include all the activities of both curricular and co-curricular activities, which is going on an institution or in a school. This gives emphasis to develop all the aspects and to make the child a all-rounder. It especially gives emphasis to develop the self-awareness and make the child skillful, and it also allows the child to use those life skills to overcome the problems or critical situations in their life. Then comes to know what is the happiness curriculum. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. The happiness curriculum is a path-breaking educational program to ensure to ensure the mental well-being of children of in Delhi government school. The happiness curriculum is an endeavor to guide the attention of the students towards exploring, experiencing, and expressing happiness, not only in a moment, not only just momentary, but also in a deeper sense or in a sustainable form as well. The happiness curriculum also enables the students to develop happiness within themselves and with their relationships in the society and environment. The happiness curriculum also looks to create a stimulate environment so that by the use of different kind of methodologies, so that they can able to make their children to explore, experience and expressing happiness. The activities such as there are different kind of activities in our happiness curriculum, like guided activities for mindfulness, then storytelling with open-ended discussion, reflective conversation, or different kind of activities which may develop the student, which may enable to make the students all-rounder. Then happiness curriculum gives emphasis to instill self-awareness among the students, to develop cognitive ability among the students, to develop the character of the students, and to reduce the stress, anxiety, ill tolerance attitude among the students. It also enables to prepare the students to face different kind of challenges and problems in their future life, and also find out the solution to solve that kind of problem. Then next slide, please. And it comes to know what is the Delhi government initiative. 2nd July 2018, Delhi government has inaugurated and implemented the happiness curriculum for all the students who are learning from class 1 to 8. the purpose or main objective of happiness curriculum is to ensure the parents and students that our education system is not only focused on the acquiring best mark in our academic career, rather than it gives emphasis to create such kind of environment which enables the students make confident, self-aware, satisfied, and happy. The next. Okay, then comes to know why there is a need of happiness curriculum, or why we are going to adopt the happiness curriculum. First of all, the happiness curriculum include the meditation, which is enable students to be mind stress-free less, or to maintain a mental peace. Then the second one is enable to it is include the activity-based or joyful learning, so that the participation level of the students and increase more. Because when this is active, because students are very much like to do activity-based learning, or activity-based learn to through activity-based teaching. Then the third one is it gives emphasis to indoor games. While are providing different kind of indoor games to students, they also group wise started to play the game, and they also cooperate to each other and they're able to sharing some knowledge to each other, and they develop a cooperation among themselves by the group games, indoor games. Then the fourth one is storytelling. This is enabled to develop the listening capacity of the students. How much for a child listen carefully, because listening is an important skill of through which the child can develop themselves. Then it gives emphasis to skills habit which make the child empathetic one. Empathetic means it the child can able to understand the pain of the another person and the problem faced by the another person by replacing themselves on that particular person. Then it also gives emphasis to group presentation, so that students who are facing problem or fear to stress fear, who have stress fear or have fear to saying publicly anything, they also can be through the help of group presentation, they modify themselves, and they can represent themselves in a better sense. Then they also have a group discussion, so that the students can many times students are
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
I'm sorry to disturb you, but I would request you to move towards the conclusion, as we are running out of time limit.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So in this way, the happiness curriculum enables the students to be effective or learn effectively. The next slide, please. Then in the present scenario, students are becoming or started to become very very depressed, and they due to some family pressures or peer group pressures, and also due to some competitions and their unrealistic expectations. You may say sometimes one child sent a video message to our honorable prime minister that sir, I am reading class 1, but why I just go to cover up many things, like I wake up in morning 6 o'clock, go for my brush, but then I am going to for math class, history class, geography class. That don't have any time for my self activities or to do the things which I like most. Students, now our education system started to be a burden on students. So next slide, please. There have different challenges which are faced by the students, like our exam pressures, peer pressures, then competition pressures, psychological pressures, and economic factors. Students are very much fearful to think that is I'll do best in my exam or not, I am able to compete with my co-friends or not. And sometimes parents also doing commitment with the students, you have to get 90% in your academic performance, otherwise we will punish you. This kind of challenges has faced by the many students, and these challenges can be only solved through the help of happiness curriculum. And next slide, please. Then in the COVID-19 situation, as we all are know that it's the pandemic time, that all are there, the shutdown, lockdown has declared at everywhere. In that time, in Delhi government adopt the happiness curriculum and its results that students also love to learn this, and the parents of also provide many cooperation. They also accept the happiness. The next one, please. No doubt everyone wants to stay happy, and happiness started to be an ultimate goal for everyone's life. You see, when you do any activities or any program, the happiness with a happy mind or through active mind, the activity is stay in our mind for long-term basis or for long period. And also the sustainable development goal has given importance to quality of education and focuses on happy school. And
Excuse me, ma'am.
ma'am.
Ma'am, time is running out, so I would like to ask you to conclude the paper.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So the ultimate goal of life, happiness also provide the ultimate goal of life. It will be the ultimate goal of life, everyone. So we have to prepare the students according to that basis. Next slide, please. Now it's my conclusion. Sorry for taking more time. The happiness curriculum is really important for our education system, because we see that our education started to become a burden on our students. And this happiness curriculum enabled to connect the parents, students, and the teachers together and each other, so that they can share the problems of the students, the weakness and strength of the student, and which part the student needs some improvement, which part the students want to modify themselves. This kind of discussion can be possible through the togetherness of parents and teachers and the students, and it enables the students to develop themselves and to make the students a versatile one. Then comes to the thank you slides.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an informative paper. It was a good attempt indeed.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry for taking more time.
Does the audience have any questions? Okay, so now I would like to request our respected chairperson to give her reflection on the papers that were presented today. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Cheshta, for inviting me. So in this session, we had 6 presenters, and I think one of them could not turn up. So most of the papers here in this session focused on happiness curriculum, and happiness curriculum, which is a part of Delhi government initiative, which was launched in 2018 and has been there in all the schools for class 1 to 8. And all the participants discussed that how happiness curriculum is important and how it is helping the students and the teachers to stay happy, to deal with stress, to stay positive in life. And most of the papers that I saw here were conceptual papers, and the participants discussed the nuances of the happiness curriculum. That, for example, what does it mean to be happy? Okay, and how happiness curriculum is implemented in the schools. So how happiness curriculum is being implemented in the schools is through a dedicated 30 to 40 minutes session in the beginning of the school, and where there are kind of predefined activities that are being taken up. So, for instance, there is meditation. There are stories which are related to building moral values, and there are some physical activities, perhaps. So, and there is, in fact, as far as I am aware, there is also a handbook of happiness curriculum, and since I'm a teacher educator and I teach in a BLED program, and my students go and teach class 1 to 8 in different government schools, I'm also aware through them that this happiness curriculum in schools has kind of become a mandate which the teachers and the principals are trying to follow. But now the question or the reflection that we all have to do is that is happiness curriculum limited to that 1 hour slot, or to limit it to that particular kind of framework that the government is proposing? So while I'm not saying that it's not a good idea, and the curriculum also got positive feedbacks across the world, its spirit and its objective is well taken up. But at the same time, as educators, as teachers, we need to see its implementation. We need to reflect upon that. It is it limited to that particular kind of mechanical ways of doing things? So, so my suggestion or my take on this is that happiness curriculum, while it is explicit, while it is given, but at the same time, we also need to make it implicit in all our classes, implicit in the pedagogy. So as a science teacher, I need to build a science pedagogy or a science classroom that makes our children happy, right? So for example, a science curriculum that is based on inquiry, that is based on discovery learning, might perhaps help children to experience more joy in a science classroom. When it comes to maths, there is ample research showing that children have fear related to mathematics. They have anxieties, and they have fear of failure. So how to deal with that? So a mathematics teacher has to be enabled, has to be empowered, has to think about ways to make a mathematics classroom happy. So those are certain things. And while similarly for the other teachers, a social science teacher, a language teachers, every teacher in their own subject has to think and build on the pedagogy that will make their own classroom happy. And going further, what about the issues which are concerning the larger society? So for example, issues concerning health, okay, physical, mental, emotional health, issues concerning the environment. So our happiness curriculum also has to go beyond and also try to build that consciousness in individuals, including the teachers and the students, to deal with the issues that are related to the larger social well-being. So these are some of the things that I would say that all of us should try to reflect upon and try to inculcate in our classroom. So being a teacher, educator, another issue, another challenge that I would say is that when any curriculum change is proposed, so it is just thrown to the teachers, and they become the kind of and they have to implement it without much training, without much thinking, without much discussion. So that becomes a kind of problem. And in this scenario, I would say that teacher educators have a huge responsibility to discuss these aspects of happiness curriculum. Even though there is no change in the teacher education program, we don't have a pedagogy that would teach our students, that would teach our trainee teachers to go and implement happiness curriculum in the school. But as teacher educators, perhaps we also need to think how to prepare teachers who would make their learning joyful in both explicit and implicit manners in the school. So thank you very much. I was very happy to be listening to all the speakers. And once again, I thank Dr. Geetika Datta and all the staff members to give me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words of wisdom. Now, I would like to request Ms. Namita Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, BLMC, to propose a vote of thanks. Welcome, ma'am.
Namita ma'am, your mic is on mute.
So sorry. Thank you so much, Anchal Bitte. A very warm and graceful afternoon to one and all present here. It's indeed my proud privilege and honor to be offering this vote of thanks. So I, Namita Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, BLMC DLA Department, would like to extend my sincere and heartfelt thanks to our valued and honorable guest, Dr. Mamta Singhal, Faculty, Institute of Home Economics, Delhi University. Respected ma'am, your words of wisdom have very aptly enlightened us that positive psychology is required in these tough times, testing times even more. Ma'am has very aptly highlighted the importance of happiness, happiness curriculum, joyful learning, and well-being of students, and most importantly, living together harmoniously. Ma'am, your valuable comments and feedback will definitely help the presenters in their career to become even more better professionals. I would also like to take up this opportunity to express my gratitude to all the paper presenters and participants from various prestigious institutions for helping in making this event a huge success. Also, I would like to thank the co-chairperson and respected colleague Ms. Namrata Gunwant for her constant support throughout this technical session. Also, I'm very thankful to rest of the faculty members of BLMCE for attending this technical session. And last but certainly not the least, all our dear students of B.Ed as well as DLA department. And again, at the end, I'm most grateful to our esteemed guests who took out her valuable time for us. Ma'am, we are really indeed inspired by your great words. Thank you so much, ma'am.